everyone, I wish that I were there with you at the P&T retreat, but unfortunately Gemma and Maurice, or whoever organised it, thought that the Dean's diary was more important than mine. So they chose a date that I couldn't be there. So, hi everyone, I hope you've been having a good day so far, and I hope the retreat's been really useful for you. There are a few things that I've been asked to talk about, and I thought I'd just start by explaining the academic's role here and the academic's job. And I know that many of you who've been here for a long time will already have quite a good understanding of that, but because we've also had quite a bit of staff turnover and there are quite a few new people, I thought it would be good just to explain what happens with academic staff. So the role of academic staff here is that they're employed to do teaching and research and service or administration. And the teaching is nominally about 40% of the job. The research is nominally about 40% of the job, and the service and administration about 20%. And I think sometimes what happens when academic staff are dealing with the administrative or P&T staff is that they're only dealing with them on one level, so you may not know all the different roles that people are doing. For example, someone might come and see you about their teaching role and you think of them as a teacher, but they're also dealing with the research managers and you're thinking of them as researchers. And they're also dealing with the marketing team and you're thinking of them as people who you can profile to sell our products. So for a lot of academic staff, it's really frustrating that people don't know what they do. It's understandable that people don't know what they do, but just remember there are so many parts to them and so many parts to their job that they're not always thinking in the same way as you are about whether they're teaching or researching or administering at the time. So you need to work with lots of different people. You need to work with other people in your own team. You need to work with people in the other P&T teams, and you also need to deal with the academic staff. And what I find is the best part of my job is all the people that I get to deal with in it. So I'm dealing with, I love the teaching and I love the students. I deal with students now, even though I'm not doing much teaching. I deal with all the academic staff and I deal with all the professional and technical staff. And I love that, and it makes for a really good rounded job. But the difficulty with that is trying to make sure that everyone's getting on and trying to walk a path in between everyone that keeps things balanced and steady. And sometimes people think about the P&T as one group and the academics as one group. But it's not the case at all. Academics have as many different ideas, as many different needs, likes, wants, desires, thoughts and abilities as any other group of people. And the same with the P&T staff. You are all different people. You have different personalities, different wants, different needs, different thoughts, different ideas and different ways of doing things. So it's good for us not to label you or group you all as P&T, and it's good for you also not to group or label academics all as academic staff. In fact, just as an example, last week 2 professors told me things from completely different directions. One professor told me we shouldn't have retreats every year. They're just too often, they're too frequent, we don't need them all the time. Another professor said to me, isn't it great that we have retreats every year? I think we should have them more often. It's a really good opportunity to get together. What I enjoy most about the P&T staff is that they are all individual and they're all different. And they're just people that I deal with in my day-to-day work. And I don't really care whether they're P&T staff or any other kind of staff. It's really nice to have a friendly, good working environment and a friendly, good beyond working environment too. So I like to hear about people's kids. I like to hear about their clothes. I like to hear that Kathleen's been shopping for new fabric. I like to hear that Fion's children are well. I see some really fabulous work coming out of the P&T area, and I really enjoy it and am inspired by some of the really good work that's done. I don't want to talk about individuals, but I want to talk about the things that really help. One of the things that helps a huge amount is when people show some initiative, take initiative and give us some judgment on things. So sometimes I ask questions of the P&T staff, and one answer could be what the rule is. This is the rule, that's the rule. But the most useful thing to me is when people use their experience and their knowledge and their expertise and tell me perhaps what's happened before, what might happen, what they think should happen, what the alternatives are, and often also to explain that to me. Sometimes a P&T staff member will say, when this happened last time we did this, or when this happened last time we did that. And I find it really useful. But also when they say to me, we did it because of X, or we did it because of Y, or even, no, Carolyn, you shouldn't do what you're thinking about doing because that will cause this problem. I'm happy with that. There's nothing I'd like more than to have people assist me in my judgments and decision making. And that's the same, I think, for Mara, Christine, Brendan, anyone who you need to deal with in terms of making decisions about students, about academic matters, about any of these matters. We don't want to make mistakes, and we rely on your judgment, and we really like to be able to have your support and your judgment and your initiative on these things. One of the things that's really fabulous with P&T staff is when they find better ways of doing things, or identify things that we're doing over and over perhaps that could be done in a better way, or that are happening that aren't really the best, the most streamlined, the most efficient way to do things. And when I say the most efficient, I don't mean the most money saving or the quickest, but just there are some things that, for example, we might be able to do a process once and it may have 2 or 3 uses, rather than each person doing it separately, individually for their own purpose. Or there might be things that we've done one year and the next year we realise when we did them last year we had X problem or Y problem. Let's actually change that. And in fact, those kind of things, it's good at the end of everything you're doing to be thinking, is there a better way to do it? Even if we're not doing it again for another year or another semester, to be thinking, what were the good things that happened this time and how could we improve it for next time? And just keeping those kind of points at hand will be really helpful the next time around. Because generally when you go back to do something, it's very hard to remember what it was that worked or didn't work the previous time you did it. I know that lots of people come and ask you things all the time. They want things from you, they want you to do things, they want special treatment. And often it's easy just to say no, or to just try to get them out of your hair. But I wonder if sometimes we might be better by taking a different response, which is using the first response as yes, or if not yes, well, let me look into it, let me see if I can make that work. And when you've done that, when you come back, if you can't make it work, people understand at least that you've actually tried to make it work, but you haven't been able to. The other thing is, particularly with staff, is even if it's not your area, it's not a bad idea to just say, look, it's not my area, but tell me what the problem is and I'll try to find out who can do it. And in that way, the more you know about the other teams and what other staff do, the easier it will be for you to find out the correct channels, the correct avenues, and to pass people on to the right person. There's nothing worse than going into the P&T area and being sent from person to person to person. It would be much easier if one person said, I'm not sure who it is, but let me find out, and then came back to you with an answer. Okay everyone, enjoy the rest of the retreat. I hope it goes really well. I hope you're having a fabulous day off campus, and I'll see you back there very shortly with my beautiful Hawaiian tan. Okay, I can stop that.